This One Up podcast is brought to you by the Doritos Brand Unlock Xbox contest.
Sometimes, to understand your present, you have to go back to your past. Tomb Raider Anniversary, rated D for Teen, in stores now.
Hey man. Hey, what's up?
What's up, dude?
What's up? You're at my computer using my iTunes? Chatting as me?
No.
Okay. What are you doing? What's up, man? Why are you on my computer?
I just got the MGS4 trailer downloading from Japan.
Oh shit, really?
Yeah.
Today? This morning? Is that why you're here?
Yeah,
That's good news.
Should be almost done. You want to watch it?
Yeah. Shane! Shane! You here?
Yo, what's up?
We got the new MGS4 trailer, man.
What?
The new MGS4
I'm coming over.
Come over here. Alright, let's go.
これが某中東です。ここはですね、米国が
One of the things they were talking about being so awesome with Blu-ray is that you could play in like all these different languages because of the extra space they could fit all the languages on the Blu-ray disc.
Sure.
Yeah, all the ones you know.
Mm-hmm.
Like German, Italian, Spanish,
Sure.
American.
Yeah, I know those.
Yeah. Well, anyway, the Heavenly Sword demo we have has like six languages on it. Of course, the tracks aren't done, but you can play the demo in Italian. It was really cool.
Wow.
Morti. Non morti. Andati. Andati dove? Il maestro Shen dice di nascondermi.
Yeah, that's what I was doing last night. Although the lip syncing doesn't quite match up in Italian.
Oh, it fails.
Yeah, but it's still good. This one's not animated very well. What's up, Shane?
I think it's dead. You played the Heavenly Swords.
Do
You like redheads.
You're nothing like your father. He had as much spirit as a dead moth, but you are full of spirit. You are full of passion.
So you guys are used to having all those different stances and all those different attacks. You don't start with that. So like the game kind of gradually unlocks those moves for you and teaches you how to play the game. The first set of levels actually explain everything. They teach you how to use the aftertouch. They like explain all the characters. So if you haven't played those, I think you'd be excited to actually go back and play the beginning of the game because it explains a lot. And, like,
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with her hair.
I asked about it.
Is it like an...
So, I mean, there was a trade-off. They really wanted to have real-looking hair that animated correctly and didn't collide, and they just couldn't get it done. So they decided they wanted to keep the animation and collision at the expense of the realism. And it is cool, like, to watch her hair, like, never clip through her body ever. And in cutscenes, it's really moving all around, and, like...
I think it's
But it's very
better than
snake-like.
It's gotten better than it was. It used to clip through everything, and that was bad. And now I think it serves purpose because during combat, you're mostly like, what I'm focusing on is like blue flash, yellow flash, and like there's so many enemies on the screen, and I'm
She
trying to
looks very
counter and
different.
combo. I'm looking for the red hair to find out where I'm
Well,
at.
yeah, it's useful in that way, and also the animation is so good, and like it kind of draws your eye to her, and like as she's doing these crazy moves, you watch it. But yeah, like they said, like, you know, if this is successful and there's a sequel, they do want to get the hair right next time. So yeah, this is
Well, the hair in it seems like fire has always been a challenge for
Yeah.
developers.
They're finally getting fire right.
And they decided to combine the two by making fiery red hair and just
Well, and the
setting-
world is so realistic, and like her hair is not.
And,
Her
yeah,
hair kind
it
of
makes
stands
it,
out.
Yeah.
But like overall, the graphics are phenomenal of what I've seen. Like,
It seems very sharp knees to cut the whole game down because her hair is bad. It seems very like
I thought it was gonna bother me, and it didn't.
Well, I kind of love it and hate it because I hate how fake it looks, but I love the animation. So it's like, eh. And we already know like there are other you play as the other character, her little sister, and maybe there's other characters you can play as.
Strangely retarded, sweetly so.
See, I kind of like her little sister.
I like her little sister. Like normally those characters are the first characters. I'm like, God, I hate this. I hate this one, so much. But she's like weird and creepy.
She hits like the Gollum meets Bjork thing perfectly that everybody
don't
wants.
You feel like, I mean, that's what's so impressive to me is that all the characters, they, when you look at them, they seem like they should be these like cliches, but the words that are coming out of their mouth and the way that the scenes are delivered,
even the humor,
and the humor, like they are just like really they come out of nowhere. It doesn't feel like a ripoff of anything. It feels unique when you're watching these cutscenes because the characters like feel like different and unique and real, and it's cool.
There's a cutscene and the evil king and his like 4 henchmen. They're all these ridiculous people. They're like, this is gonna be stupid, but it's actually super funny, super entertaining, well written, well acted. I'm like, I can't believe I'm into this cutscene.
Exactly. Like it goes against everything as a gamer that I've been taught by the shitty cutscenes of yore.
So where's the sword? General Flying Fox, I will choose to believe that the reason you let it slip through your hands is some elaborate attempt at humoring me, and not because you are an incompetent fool.
I am not a fool, sire.
Usually it's Metal Gear games, you know, have good cutscenes or whatever, but in terms of
I don't ever understand them.
The facial animation and the lip syncing.
And the acting.
And the acting.
For me, it really is the acting, especially Andy Serkis. I mean, the character he plays is the main villain, and like, it's probably the best voice acting in any game I've ever heard in my life. And, you know, I play a lot of RPGs. I've heard a lot of voice acting, but
you've heard a lot of terrible. But you played a lot of RPGs. There's some terrible.
But like one thing you guys didn't get to see, I got to go play the whole first chapter when like this is the second chapter of this one we had, and it kind of explains the whole game for me because it starts at the end.
Like where she got the heavenly sword.
Exactly. Well, in like, you know, all the comparisons to God of War, when you see how the game begins, it makes even more sense. Because in the very beginning, it starts in this climactic battle against 4,000 troops when they're like the final siege against your home village. And she falls, she dies. And while she's like, while her spirit is going up to heaven, she like decides that like, no, like she's like, she refuses to die. She's like her will like makes her stay alive, and she goes to purgatory. And like the level select screen when she's standing there, like the title screen, that's purgatory.
Of course, the level selected, the menu screen is like just like God of War, also where you start with Kratos' face on the side. I mean, it's very very similar.
Like, you know, it is very evocative of God of War. And like when they're talking to developers, like they're not shying away from that comparison anymore. Like they're not embarrassed that their game is kind of like God of War.
They really shouldn't be.
They shouldn't be. Yeah. A lot of players who don't want to learn the nuances of like a Ninja Gaiden style combat, they want to just be able to pick it up and make cool shit happen, and you can do that here.
This is somewhere between, for me, Ninja Gaiden, which is like way hard and you can't do anything randomly, and God of War, where it is not nearly as technical as Ninja Gaiden. No. I don't think that's fair to do, but you don't want something that technical.
Right, and with the 3 stances, it is all about that, because you have these 3 stances: ranged, power, and speed. And like when you're being attacked by enemies, there'll be a different flash. You notice the different flashes of color, and that tells you like what kind of attack they're attacking you with, and what kind of stance you should be in to counter them.
Right.
But what's interesting is that to counter, you're going to hit triangle.
Right.
But like just to block, you just have to not be attacking.
But you have to be in the proper stance.
Right. In the stance, but not attacking, which is
neutral.
Very like difficult to time. And I'm so used to when I do play games where you're going to have to block. There's a button.
I found myself like once I got into the flow of combat, not worrying about block that much and just countering.
Yeah, because countering is really effective. Like you can, like, a lot of hard enemies who normally have a shield, you wouldn't be able to attack them easily. Like you can counter them and do a lot of damage.
And then it does have block breaker attacks, where if they're blocking, you do these like incredible attacks that do quite a bit more damage.
Yeah.
And they give you a whole list to keep track of it all. But I mean, I was having great success with button mashing.
Yeah, I think it's a good learning curve from mashing to actually realize, oh, this is how I do these attacks. Then you have the special, like, you knock somebody up in the air and the crazy shit, the juggles you can do. There's a lot of depth to that,
and then,
actually.
I figured out when I thrown an enemy in the air, if you shake around the controller, she'll do other stuff.
Yeah, that's how you start all the air combos. And of course, then there's the aftertouch stuff where you can pick up items or dead enemies or whatever's on the ground.
I actually think Aftertouch for me is what sold the game, because like I think it's a beautiful God of War clone, and then like with Aftertouch and the way they use it in the game, that really, to me, is the best use of 6-axis I've seen. Because as you said, you can pick up any object, any character in the game and throw them. And when you throw them, if you hold down X, you become that object and you steer it with the 6-axis. And it's a little unrealistic because you can, like, for example, take a crossbow bolt and steer it kind of around a tree.
You were liking to do
you can kind of like
the Top Gun
fly
moves.
It, you know, like fly it like Warhawk and like hit things directly. Like you're gonna hit a guy in the head with it, or
and it gets so precise. These characters, like you know, when we were playing, like you were hitting guys in the foot, in the butt, which is really funny, in the testicles. Very funny.
Or like you get to a room with lots of stuff. It's fun to pick up like a big turkey leg and like throw it at one guy, it hits him in the head, and then you're still controlling it as it ricochets off. And you're like trying to hit like 5 guys with one turkey leg, and you're kind of making your own fun.
Use the aftertouch with like all the little puzzles that they've shown so far.
Right. And that's throughout everything I've seen. A lot of aftertouch puzzles, and they're always very obvious. Like I think if you're expecting deep, like interesting,
it's
puzzles,
not Zelda puzzles.
It's not Zelda puzzles. They're very straightforward.
The game is very much just like arena after arena with like stuff in the middle that you know connects the.
I don't think it is arena after arena though. I mean, there are a lot of big fights against a lot of enemies, but I think they do a good job of mixing it up with like there's a lot of like shooting gallery kind of stuff, and there's missions where you're escorting people. There's missions where you have to take out certain things.
Yeah,
right.
But
it is.
I'm talking about simply level design. In terms of level design, I'm not saying it's bad. There are plenty of other. Hey, let me talk for a sec. There are plenty of games that do arena, like arena, then walk, then arena. Like even the Half-Life games are essentially that. But you're right. It doesn't feel bad. I think part of the reason that it doesn't, you're still excited to play, is that the combat is very good. But then beyond that, is that, like what we're talking about with the actual characters, like you do get emotionally invested in the characters in the game because the voice acting is so good, because the animation is so good, and because the quick timer events that you get into, like I'm so tired of those in most games.
Hero sequences.
Hero sequences. The hero.
Thank
sequences,
you for staying on message, Shane.
The hero sequences are the quick timer events, as I'd rather refer to them as. They're great because usually in a game when you miss a quick timer, it just like ends and you have to start over. But in this one, there's so many different variations. There's so much animation in the character where she can like basically go up to try to grab something, then bite it, then try, grab on and try again. There's so many variations that it actually, you feel like it's a little bit one step further, more interactive.
I think they're cool and I think they're fun, but as a replacement for platforming, because there is no jumping in this game. I think when you first start playing, you're like, I can't jump. That's kind of weird. Because the right stick does evasion, and the evasion is really useful, and you have to use it in combat all the time.
They use it in place of jump in certain puzzles. Yeah.
But yeah, I still kind of wish I could jump. And as fun as those hero sequences are, like, they're dramatic, and you're sliding down ropes, you're making these huge leaps, but you're not really making those leaps.
I think that's what makes it feel more like like I said, arena, than some stuff where you're walking in the middle and then another arena, because you're not exploring the space. It's very, very linear, much more so than even a game like God of War, which is a game, we've said that it looks like they're emulating. Like there's no exploration. It's linear.
It's a much more straightforward, linear game,
very
and I still really like it, but I do wish maybe in a sequel they should consider maybe platforming. I don't know. Maybe it's my old school paradigms I'm stuck in where I like jumping.
Well, the other game that I wish had more platforming too is the Ratchet & Clank demo. Yeah. If you played that,
I think it's full of platforming.
Oh, it's not at all.
What are you talking about? There's like 4 scrolling sequences that are basically 2D platformers.
But that's all on rails.
Platforming equals jumping, okay? And there's no jumping. There's not one puzzle where you need to successfully time a jump.
There's a part in the middle where being both shooting and parts of the floor are falling and you have to jump over them.
Yeah, there are very
part of that is not a platforming
bit, but there's no exploring, like he was saying before, like with Heavenly Sword. There's no exploring
part of that is
and
good platforming bit.
Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is, but
it's not exciting. Okay, that game is essentially a shooter. The parts where you jump on the rails, those are like the most exciting parts of the game because the camera's spinning around. It feels very awesome, and I realized like this is the most uninteractive part of the whole demo, and it's also my favorite part. I was hoping that Ratchet & Clank Future would be the game that really brought me back into it and made me really love the series or whatever, but I don't. Like I think that it's fun. It's fine. I understand why people like it, and the graphics are amazing in this version. It looks unbelievable. It's so good looking.
Seriously, the cutscenes are like a Pixar cartoon.
And because the art direction is so close to Pixar quality, like it's the first time that it actually feels like that.
Yeah.
Well, I was saying when I first started playing this demo at my house, and I was like, wow, this is the first real HD platformer I've ever played. It's kind of odd that there haven't been more, and like I don't really count Cameo as a platformer.
Wait, did you get an HD TV?
My roommate has one.
Oh, good.
My friend Skip Fister. But yeah, like, so just like walking around these familiar looking corridors with this familiar character, but it's all super crisp and clean and pretty. It looks really great.
I think I would like more platforming, but I definitely see this as being more Ratchet and Clank. Like, Ratchet and Clank has always been more of a shooty platform.
Right.
You know, so I don't mind that. It's just like the parts where you're just jumping on those green platforms to the purple platforms, and it's just, you know, forcing you into the next area. I would rather be jumping and trying to get up there.
The only reason I'm saying all this is because people like you have told me that this is like a return to the platforming form of the old Ratchet and Clanks, and to me it feels just like the more modern Ratchet and Clanks. I mean, it's all shooting.
The fourth Ratchet and Clank felt nothing like this. I don't think you played it.
I didn't.
But I think this demo level isn't that representative of what the final gameplay is going to be like. It's very much a demo. It's very straightforward. It almost feels like a Sonic, like a latter-day Sonic level, because there's so much automatic stuff going on and so much rail grinding.
But less suck.
Less suck, of course.
Yeah. I was really excited to finally play, because I've seen it, Ratchet and Clank Future, at a lot of different events, but they were always not letting you play it, which makes you nervous with a game like that. And the one complaint I had, and I finally decided, I played through the demo like 2.5 times. It's not just me, but the targeting and the locking on is not, for as shooty as it is.
It's very auto. It feels like it's more auto aimy than in the past, and like and I wanted a little more control over where I was aiming.
Really, that felt like, that's what felt identical to me to the previous Ratchets.
Maybe it's been a while since I played a Ratchet.
Because that's the whole thing with a Ratchet game, is like you run with one stick, you move the camera. Okay, my favorite parts of the demo are the rail parts and the parts where you were talking about that are because you don't have to control the camera. I feel like I'm controlling the camera constantly when I play a Ratchet game, and that stick I wish I was using for something aiming related. I wish, because when you hold down R1 to go into first person aim, you can't move. So then you're this like static thing sitting in the middle of the screen.
It's like RE4.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, where you're not moving and shooting.
But the enemies like aren't doing anything.
They aren't slow zombies.
Right.
And they're coming at you and firing, so you want to be able to move and dodge.
In terms of like new stuff, one thing I did like is, of course the city looks like this Fifth Element, city with all these cars and cabs flying around. There's one part at the end of the demo where you end up like falling straight down and using the 6-axis to move.
It works pretty well.
It works pretty well. And so, if they're doing more different fun 6-axis stuff like that. Anyway, like I said, I think people who know how to play and like playing Ratchet and Clank, they're gonna hop right in and think it's great. And the new weapons are fantastic. Yeah. Like that thing that they've shown, the Groovatron, the Groovatron, that thing's amazing. Like when you see all those characters dancing, the animation is fantastic.
Turning enemies into little penguins, everybody loves penguins.
They look awesome. And so, that part has total appeal.
And the fire, like I use the fusion grenades and the fire to watch them explode, and you're seeing everything, and it's not just that they're exploding, it's that they're turning into a million little bits and pieces that are flying everywhere.
Well, just like you're fighting the robots, and you're hitting them with your wrench. It all looks really good.
Wrench. That's a tool.
It is a tool. It's a tool of destruction. But like, I think Ratchet and Clank, if you're a fan, you're definitely still gonna like it. If you've never played it, they're easy to get into, but it definitely doesn't reinvent the franchise. It's more of the same, but just crisper and cleaner.
Well, who knows? Maybe further levels will have something deeper, more platforming, more of what we're talking about. Maybe with time, the targeting will get better and feel a little less sloppy.
I think the overall scope and level design, we're not really seeing that here. I think this level is very much a demo level made for demo purposes.
But and it's still impressive.
It's unbelievably
impressive looking.
It's so beautiful. And again, it's not quite as good as Heavenly Sword. Heavenly Sword has really set the bar as far as like cutscenes go.
Definitely.
I mean, it's movie quality as far as I'm concerned. And but these are animation quality. They're Pixar level. Like they're cute. They're funny without being like saccharine. I
wanted a little more Clank still. I always want more Clank, and I kind of wish he was in it more and talking more.
So dry and so
obviously
dominant.
he will be.
He will be.
They're just saving him.
I believe you may be their intended target.
You think?
You're telling me this is not platforming. You are jumping over pits.
Yeah, it's platforming.
Guys.
What's up?
It's Ratchet.
Whatever. Metal Gear. New trailer.
Yeah, dude, that's like 20 minutes ago.
Like,
what?
That was like Mark McDonald this morning. We already saw it.
Wait, show it to me. Come on. Ratchet's cool, but come on. Show me Metal Gear.
Like you're a Metal Gear fan. Come on.
Oh, that's just cruel.
Can I beat this stage?
No. Shut it off. You can play a 3-minute demo later.
はちょっと腰が痛かったと、大変やなという感じですかね。
Totally delivers.
Really?
Totally delivers, yeah. Totally.
What do you think?
That's what they should have shown in E3.
I've heard, Kojima talk about that, this is a battlefield, you're going to be picking sides and stuff. And I've heard that to death, but now, this was the first time I've actually got that sense of, there's two sides fighting. You can either fight on this side, that side, or kind of be neutral.
民兵たちが PMC と戦っていると。激戦区ですね。非常に民兵が負けそうなんで、ここではですね、ちょっと民兵の味方をしてあげましょう。
This really is like a new gameplay gimmick for us, and really is almost the foundation of the game, where it's up to the player. It's up to the player as Snake to decide if he's going to ally with the militiamen or these PMCs, these private military companies.
民兵と PMC が戦ってますね。はい、向こうから装甲車が攻めてきました。これ民兵まずいですね。で、スネークちょっと味方をしてあげましょう。
Will that affect the story? Can you switch sides halfway through?
Fundamentally, it's team A versus team B. Up to the player to decide if they're going to ally, who they're going to ally with.
Why would you ever choose the guys running around with rags on their heads and stuff when the other guys have freaking Metal Gears running around with them? They have professional equipment. Why the hell would you ever choose the
Hey, Hideo chose the scrubs today, and
I know,
and there's some benefits to it. I mean, obviously the PMCs have better equipment. Maybe it's out of sympathy for the militiamen, but even though they're trying to pull together their team as best they can, but they still have items to give you if you ally with you, if you team up with them. They're going to allow you to go into their base and take a different route to the end. So I mean, this is going to introduce multiple playthroughs, so it's not the same experience every time you play, and that's what I'm most excited about.
Yeah.
民兵の味方をしたんで、民兵がお礼を言って次の戦場に。
How do they know that you're fighting with them?
As you know, just through our continued conversation, I'm spending so much time in Hollywood recording lines from Metal Gear Solid 4, and a lot of those lines are this chatter between the PMCs or the chatter between the militiamen that, hey, who's this guy? He's taking us out. You got to watch out for this guy. It's a reference to Snake. So they're communicating. They're telling the other teammates that, yeah, Snake is not here to help us out. He's here to snipe us and take us out. Or it's vice versa. This guy's actually pretty good. Hey, hand him some ammo or something like that. So we're taking lots of lines like that. So they'll be communicating.
You want somebody to see you from the other side, shoot a green guy, and then it'll help you. Yeah. They'll know.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
That's the next gen Metal Gear I've been looking for. That I've never seen.
I thought the environment. We were talking about this. For me,
the environments look amazing.
Got the sense that things are happening in this city. Over here, these people are fighting, and you can run over there, you can go over here, you can look with the solid eye and look really, really far.
It seems like it's definitely more open than previous Metal Gear Solid environments, which is a start. But even that part in the trailer where it's oh, there's a building falling in the distance. It's cool, but that could all be scripted. That could be an area that you can't actually get to. Sure. If you're looking at the area, it essentially looks like one street. It would be great if it was a giant open world, but I have a feeling that the progression through the stage is going to feel more like the previous MGSs, where it's you're in this room, you go to the next room, and it opens up.
I was definitely one of those guys back last TGS that complained about the animations were too robotic and stuff. You can tell they took some feedback and they've worked it in. When he leaned over the edge and then did the flip over to kind of
that animation
kind of moves you've never been able to do.
Now that first scene where he's kind of pretending he's a statue and you see the guys kind of doing their
I think the animations look fine.
They look great. They look really good.
It doesn't look as good as Uncharted in terms of animation, but nothing does. I think it looks believable. It doesn't look robotic. It doesn't look canned.
Why did he have to switch to statue camo? Why couldn't he just octo camo and touch the statue?
We're bringing back some things from Metal Gear Solid 3, and also in Subsistence as well, where you have certain camo, for example, Santa Claus, just as an example, or as this dude right here, the banana suit, where you do have those. You can access them. As part of your items, you can pick up different items, pick up different suits that Otacon has developed. For example, the statue, or a lot of other templates that we haven't shown yet that you can pick up and use. Because if you don't have that, all you have is the environment around you. You can only link up to it, and then you're stuck with that pattern until you move on to the next area. You can't bring it up every time you want to. So.
気づかずに後ろから近づいて、これ CQC の一種ですけども、今回 銃を弾き飛ばして敵兵の持っている装備を奪うことができると。これは CQC なんですけど、柔道というですね、締めて気絶をさせているところです。あまり戦場に介入しない。
As a serious MGS fan, I like that this is kind of underneath it all. You can tell it's still MGS, and it still has the cute little icons when people get dizzy.
I couldn't tell you were a serious fan by your.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. But at the same time, like they've added so much new animation.
The action does look a lot like Splinter Cell now when you're controlling the camera with the right stick, and Snake can now do the like crouched walk Sam Fisher thing.
There's even a little bit of a nod. Like when he uses the solid eye, the sound it makes is the sound effect of Sam Fisher using his goggles. So it's almost like a little nudge.
But you know what? I'd rather have a developer say, "Hey, listen, these other games like Gears and Splinter Cell are doing things right that we should bring over to arcade." They did smart things like the camera. They have the over-shoulder camera. They have kind of like the subsistence camera now. They have the first person, which I'm not crazy about the first person just yet. But you can tell they're listening to gamers. They're trying to make it more, easier to play because everybody's like, "Oh, it's too complicated. It's too complicated." Like some people in this freaking office say.
コントローラーですね。これでチビメタルを操作します。首は6軸センサーで伸び縮み入れてます。
I love what they've done with the little MK2 robot, how you can control him.
It's great.
And you actually steer him with the 6-axis, and you actually have to control him or he'll fall over.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like stuff like that, like little things, like little touches you expect from
Or a little thing like rolling over a bit and throw the grenade, and it has a little like Gears of War arc, stuff like that.
Are the buttons, because Metal Gear, like one of its things was Metal Gear 2, even in 3, you had to hold a bunch of buttons. Yeah. A lot of things people didn't even know you could do, because you could lean, you could do all this different stuff, but God, you had to like have your fingers all like that.
That's the good news about the game, is that and this is one of my goals within the team, is not only to make it more, have this really good localization, have it sound and read really cool, but have it to feel good. And there's really no sacred cows as far as the control scheme this time. There has been up until 3. 4 is a whole new game. You can calibrate the aiming, the speed of the aiming. Luke Smith might like that.
タコか。PMC がこっちに来ましたので、ゴミ箱に囲みました。
I still played through all the Metal Gears and enjoyed them, but I always felt like I was fighting the controls rather than actually loving them, or at least even if I was good at playing it, that didn't change the fact that I thought it could be done better. And what's nice is that in this one, for the first time, there's context-sensitive things like press triangle to do this move now.
That is going to relate to people who played Gears of War a lot. It's not quite as obtuse as the old Metal Gear games.
How in the stuff that we saw today, which parts of that were using the 6-axis?
Looking around corners using the 6-axis is one feature that we showed off today.
So you just tilt it and you lean.
And you might have noticed when we were doing the Metal Gear Online demonstration as well, some of our team members were using that as well, peeking around corners. If you have a texture that you have up on your Octo Camo and you want to get rid of it as soon as possible, rather than having to go into the menu and clean the slate, you just shake the 6-axis and it goes back to the default sneaking suit.
Cool.
So that's another feature, and obviously we got a lot more under wraps.
Yeah. What about the rolling in the oil barrel? Was that using the 6-axis?
That's using the controller.
Oh, and what about doing the worm?
The worm too is using this regular control, not the 6-axis.
Oh, come on.
Well,
I thought that would use it.
No,
you don't want to overdo it, I guess.
We don't want to overdo it, and we've worked with. There was a lot of ideas that we had using the 6-axis. What if we do this? What if we do this? 6-axis is a really cool control scheme for certain things. Other things, it's a hassle. It doesn't enhance the gameplay.
Right.
スネーク PMC 攻撃してきます。こっちから。リロード。
I remember feeling so disappointed when I first played the Snake Eater demo because the original trailers of it looked so realistic. It was like Snake wrestling with alligators and stabbing his knife in, eating a snake, I thought it was going to be this realistic survival game, but then when I actually played the demo, it was still like rations popping up and spinning onto the ground, and going in and out of menus.
敵兵の持ってる装備なんかを取ることが今回からできる。落ちましたね。
For the first time, it's not like a giant, floating ration icon. It's like there's a box of bullets on the ground and a thing, and you go up and grab
them. You
can
also disarm them and take their guns. That's never been in MGS before, so that's exciting to me.
We're all three of us are really big into the story.
Sure.
I love it. It's crazy as it is, I actually like that.
Yeah.
So I know I'm going to have that. Plus, I realize Now the game is going to do things that we want in gameplay. It's going to have a better camera. The aim is going to be better. We are getting the best of both worlds right now. We're getting the kind of story we hope we want, and then also definitely there's a great gameplay.
And I think it's going to work because in a way it's almost like they're trying to get like the Tom Clancy fans, and it's working because Dan Shu, who's kind of our boss, who's kind of an outspoken MGS critic, he's walking by and he's like, "Oh wow, that looks really great. Like, I'll love it until a stupid cutscene happens." I'm like, well, yeah, the cutscenes are going to happen.
Metal Gear Solid 3, while I love it and it's my favorite of the Metal Gear games, that was a game for Metal Gear fans. But this game appears to like have simplified the things that needed to get simpler and made it more accessible to people who just want to play like a normal shooter. The controls seem to be fixed up. Like, I couldn't be more excited. After, the demos, the movies were getting like less and less interesting, although the last one was pretty good, but to see it in action for the first time, like, wow.
左の屋根の上に敵兵がいるので、サーマルで。
From what we can tell, the Metal Gear Online is going to be a network game. Probably is going to cost, in addition to this $50 or the $60 that you're going to spend on Metal Gear. So does that bother you or not?
I was kind of surprised when we thought it was going to have a full-fledged multiplayer game with MGS4. It seemed overly ambitious, and I can't fault them for doing it separately. Hopefully it's more focused and doesn't just feel like an afterthought, kind of like Subsistences did.
I focus most of my time on Metal Gear Solid 4, and then I just kind of harass the online team when I have a free moment to see what they're up to. We're always talking about how what's Halo doing, what's Gears of War doing, what are the Western developers doing, and obviously they're curious. We play games together online. I would say, hey, look, you guys like team-based gameplay. You guys are Japanese. You want more strategic gameplay. It's not about just racking up that kill count. Let's really make that the fundamental part. And obviously that was something that the team agreed with. So we got this SOP system where you
What's SOP stand for?
Good question. We're not revealing today.
Oh.
Hit that triangle button when you're near your teammates, and then your guys are all linked. You do a salute. And then you can share information about what your teammates seeing, like the conditions of the battle, like how their teammates are doing, who they're engaged with.
How are you communicating that?
Based on colors or like the icon that's popping up when you kind of look through that transparent view of your
so
teammates.
it's connected to that, like being able to see your teammates.
Exactly.
There's icons to say if they're being shot or shooting somebody, that sort of thing?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. But when they link up, it has like this kind of matrixy light blue
scheme
that goes through all your teammates, and it actually runs through the stage to the 3D model of the stage, and just kind of like this tide of like matrixy, linkage like goes through the stage. It's a very cool effect.
Tide of matrixy linkage. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's you can put that on the box. The whole system is this SOP system is based on nanomachines, which we talked about in the Metal Gear Solid 4 trailer. One of our teammates showed this off where he captured one of the enemy soldiers, stuck something in his neck, hacked into his nanomachines, and he was able to see not only what his teammates are up to, he's linked to them, but what the enemy's teammates are. He's totally linked to the whole battlefield.
They showed up as orange, you guys showed up as blue. Exactly. Yeah, that was really cool. And I saw it took a while to do it. If you get shot or anything during that time,
over. You're not hacking anymore. Yeah, you're toast. And also if you die in the game and you were previously linked up to your teammates, now you're disconnected when you come back after you respawn. And then also you might have noticed in the left hand of the screen you got 3 different skills that each player had different.
I saw that in a little skill level to it. So you choose those as well when you do the loadout.
Right. Actually, before you jump into the lobby, you can customize your character the way they look, what skills you're going to bring to the game, and you can level up these skills. So you might have saw CQC Mastery. So he's got CQC Mastery level 1. So the more you do it, obviously, the more you're going to level up. In MGO, you're going to go back the next day, and your level's going up. You're getting
so that carries over.
Exactly.
But isn't that like tricky? Because I know Rainbow Six ran into this thing where the really experienced players are already the experienced players, but now they have these kick-ass characters too, and they just are stepping on the rookie guys.
Right. We learned a lot of things from MGO, on PS2, and that is this whole idea that there's casual gamers and there's hardcore people, and there's a lot of hardcore MGO players in Japan. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up certain tournaments that only the hardcore can enter in, and then certain rooms for like the casual users.
Through like a ranking system?
Yeah, ranking system. And this one's pretty easy to do because, obviously not only does it's hard to test people's skill, just like how well they aim. You have hardcore people that could jump into Halo and they can just obviously play good right from the start. That's hard to test. But you look at the characters' levels in MGO. Their level CQC is at 3, hacking is at level 3. So obviously it's easier to balance, and so that's something that I'm not too worried about it, actually. You know, it's based on the MGS4 engine, graphics engines, control scheme, sound. We're borrowing some characters from MGS4, some environments, and we're building so many other like unique environments for the MGO, and obviously characters as well. So this is a standalone product. We've got a lot of confidence in it, and I think we're going to be one of the premier online games on PS3 because, you know, I mean,
there isn't shit else.
Not to knock a lot of games on PS3, but I think, you know, this is what people are waiting for. You know, there's something that give them an excuse to log on.
Seems like maybe if they're separating them, they're going to put it out early. Is it going to be earlier?
No, they're separating for one reason, because MGS4 will stay at PS3 and Metal Gear Online will be 360 and PS3.
I think you may be onto something, but I also think MGO might come out before MGS4.
That's what I'm thinking.
That's what I'm thinking. The beta starts in like a month,
right?
And it's a revenue stream. Konami needs some money,
right?
This is the reason to buy a PS3. This right here, this should be like all over like everything Sony. Sony should be like hyping this 15 minutes. Like, this is what we all want.
So I think there might still be a playable demo of this year.
So yeah, when you play it, don't know when you're gonna have a chance to play it, but you're gonna notice that
what about that?
Yeah,
TGS.
Yeah, hope to have it playable by then. You know, we're obviously still working with this build.
Right.
We're not gonna have it at GC. That's for sure. We're gonna have maybe another presentation like Hideo's doing today, but I hope to have let people get their hands on around TGS time.
Could you be the one to finally finish me?
I almost want to stay spoiler free from here on out because the story means so much to me, and like I know with MGS3, the last trailer they showed at TGS where they showed all the bosses, I kind of regretted it because like the bosses are so cool, and I'm gonna stay spoiler free on the bosses. So don't tell me about any bosses. I don't want to know.
Now the delay hurts even more because I want this game.
It'll be worth the wait.
I think there are plenty of things coming out this year. I'm not hurt by not having to buy one other thing.
Splinter Cell just got pushed back too, so another Sam versus Snake battle next year.
Yeah, sure.
I'm taking my Snake meat and going home.
Oh my God, that's the worst getup I've ever seen in my life.